Howdy folks, and welcome to this episode of Vern's Misadventures. When I last left you with the last video, we had installed and configured a LAMP stack for a web development server as a virtual machine running on Windows in VirtualBox, right? This here on the screen is my OpenSuse 15.1 LAMP server. So what I wanted to do today was address a little situation that I came across when I was trying to use it. And I thought perhaps somebody else out there might have set this up and tried to use it as well, and might have had the same struggles as me. So I'd like to show you something with this. So let's open a terminal. We'll make it nice and large so everybody can see. Now I've been doing some simple rudimentary PHP development just as a refresher course to kind of relearn what I've forgotten. Been out of the game for a little while. So let's go ahead and get into our file manager. But we want to run it as root. So we'll go su, put in our password. Okay, and then once you reach that, you'll type Nautilus to open the file manager as root, which of course is what you'll need to be on the server. It's in the file system, and you won't have access to that unless you open the file manager as root. So if we go to our shared file, I have lesson 2 PHP, right? And I'm going to copy that here. Then I'm going to go over to my server, which mine is actually right here, but yours may not be, so I'll show you this way. File system, then you go to server, then you go to www, and then htdocs. Alright, and then we can, I already had one called lesson 2 on here. I'm going to delete that. Move to trash, rather. Okay, and I'm going to paste the other one. Alright, so here is the first issue we run across here. And that is if we try to open it in our web browser. So we'll launch Firefox. Now this is on the server itself, right? And if we go to localhost, we'll see that it brings up our server's index page, right? So it should follow that if we should put lesson 2 / lesson 2 .php, that it should show something, right? And it does not. And the same would be true if we tried to access that through the through Windows. Okay, and the reason is it's a permissions issue. So if we go back over here to our file and we go to properties and we click on permissions, we'll see that the owner is root with access read and write. The group is root, access is read and write. And look at here, other access, none. If we change that to read only and close that, then if we try this little deal again, I wish I had just minimized that, but that's alright. It is closed, and we'll type localhost, and then / it was lesson 2. All of a sudden, it works. How about that? And so let's see here. +++. And so, yeah, now you see here, it actually is working. Now, I wrote this out so that while you're looking at it, you could read the code and see which line is actually being processed and all this. So I used some predefined constants of line and file in PHP. And here, let me show you the code. Alright, so if we just open this up in the text editor, there we go. Go to preferences, font colors. I guess as root you can't really make any changes, so what we'll do is we'll open the same file, which we copied over. If we just want to look at the code, I mean, let's close this, exit, Oh, Control C. Then exit. And exit again. There we go. So, I mean, it's the same file, it's just permissions are different here, so we can still look at it. So if we go to dev server and open up PHP, now that I'm doing it as my user, it's got my preferences here. So yeah, if you wanted to look at the code here, so let's see here, we just have some HTML, center and H1 for the heading, and then I got some comments here, right? And then echo, we're using predefined constants, right? And then echo BR, now that just breaks the line, so it goes on a new line, doesn't just all go in one line. This is line, and then there's a predefined constant. There are several of them in PHP. These are two of them, and these will actually display the line of the code and the file of which the code is being executed. This here, we made a horizontal rule. My comment says let's go to the next line, but I probably should edit that. Draw a horizontal rule. How about that? There we go. Okay, and then you got over here, you got a block comment, and it's commenting out a function that I had on here. It would work, except for as I progressed through the book I'm reading, it showed different ways to do this stuff. And of course, the last one that we actually settled on was, let's see here. And the one I actually settled on here that I'm actually using is where we actually define a variable temp for the date is, and actually pass that. We pass that along and when we ask for it. See, this is, that's the echo long date temp time, right? So there's the variable, and we're passing that to the function. So this is just the format of the date. It's where it would display the way it did. And then the timestamp. And then as I went through, I went ahead and put this line in here to show the line of the code that's actually being displayed and the file that it's displaying it off of. And then showed how to do some math. 17 days ago, this output would have stated, and then it said long date, and it ran the function, right? Passed temp to the function, and then within the function, it uses a different variable. But it passes the function to where it actually, within the function itself, it uses text as a variable. But we're actually sending the value of temp to there. But within the function, it uses its own variable for that. So if you don't pass it a variable, if you don't pass it a value there when you call it, you get an error. As I wrote here in this comment, it says an error is called if you try to call a function without passing a variable, blah, blah, blah. So I found that if you want to display the date but eliminate the text output from temp, you can pass empty quotes, or actually just 2 apostrophes. And then let's see here. Then we had a static function that we tried here, and that is normally when you define variables within a function, their values are discarded after the function exits. But if you declare a static variable, it will actually hold its value to whatever it was within the function. And then every time you call this simple little thing here for a static, it just increments the count. So you have static count equals 0, and then we're adding 1 to count each time that the function is called. And then this here is just echo, which means it's just going to put it on the screen using static variables. Check static function has been called count number of times, right? And so whatever the count is, it's going to put that number on there. So having explained the code a little bit, we could bring it up here. Yeah, let's see here. We just bring it up in Windows here, 192. There we go. And it would be lesson 2.php. There we go. It's already hot. And so there you go. this is the output. You got using functions and variables. There's our H1 heading, right? And it's centered. Passing the variable temp to long date function, and this says the date is, and that's what temp was, just this text here, the date is. And then this is the format, which was defined for the date. That's why it's the long date. And then this is where we did some math to figure out what the date was 17 days ago, eliminating unnecessary text by passing two apostrophes instead of a variable. And then this way it just says, instead of having to state it this way, 17 days ago the output would have stated, then this just shows this output without passing those variables only outputted this. And within my code to write this line, I just wrote this text here, 16 days ago the date was, and then I called the function, and it displayed this. Here's our static variables we explained here. The check static function has been called 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And as you see here, I called the function 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So there you go. Okay, so there we go. And so that was the whole thing behind why it wouldn't display, was the permissions deal. So if you're experiencing that little struggle there, all you have to do is go in there and set your permissions for others to be read-only. I wouldn't think you'd want to grant others to have read and write permissions, but as a development server, I don't know why that would be helpful to you, but I suppose you could do that. At any rate, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope this helped somebody. If you're not a subscriber, I'd like to invite you to subscribe. And if you are, I want to thank you for hanging around, and hey, we'll see you next time. Y'all take care.